We've got some of our Tennessee regulars in the chat. What do you think of Tennessee's strange offseason? I mean, Tennessee is always landing some big fish. I know Henry Ford is probably the biggest name the Vols have landed. I'm a little skeptical. They get him through the draft. He's a big-time prospect. I don't know if that's a leverage play or I mean, who knows? Henry Ford may not even know at this point, but that's probably the headliner. They landed Blaine Brown, the freshman slugger from Rice, last week. At the end of last week, who had a big year. You mentioned they landed Landon Mack late last night. So that's a big name for Tennessee. But the Vols lost, I think, 20 arms in the portal. I mean, I say lost. I think that they were probably fine with most of those leaving or being run off, or however you like to put it. Bo Rudy from Kennesaw State has been a kid who committed a few weeks ago, ranked pretty highly by 64 Analytics. But, man, it has been a whirlwind trying to keep up with what's going on with Tennessee, especially on the pitching end.
Yeah, so Tennessee is a fascinating case. Again, I think 64 Analytics does a really good job of the transfer portal. So according to them, Tennessee has 27 players that left from this past season's team. That's the most of anybody in the SEC. Now, a large chunk of that are guys that just never played at all. 12 of those never played in a single game. So they're just going someplace just to get some action. Now, their additions, they went heavy on the arm side. Some of the most intriguing arms that they got, Clay Edmondson, righty from UNC Asheville. He's a sidearm pitcher. He had more strikeouts than innings pitched, and he pitched 82 innings this past season. His ERA was below 2.5. Another interesting arm they got, Brady Frederick from East Tennessee State, SoCon Pitcher of the Year. What's fascinating with him, everything for him, he did it in relief. He was not a starter. 78 innings all in relief, 76 strikeouts, 19 walks. I'll be fascinated to see how Frank uses him moving forward. They go with Garrett Wright, position player-wise, from Bowling Green. He was the MAC Defensive Player of the Year, first-team All-Conference. He was a catcher at Bowling Green, where he set the single-season program record for doubles. So remember, that was a big thing for Tennessee this past season. They gave up 1 million stolen bases, it felt like. Now, a lot of that was Marcus Phillips. So what do? They addressed it by getting a really, really good defensive catcher. So they're just fascinating to me because they went heavy pitching-wise, and then it just seems like they always nail it with position players. Like they get Henry Ford from Virginia, second-team All-Conference in the ACC. He is draft eligible, so that's something to monitor for them. So Tennessee is really, really intriguing. They get Blaine Brown from Rice, first-team All-Conference selection in the American. He did that as a DH. Can be a two-way player. I kind of think he's going to be a hitter for Tennessee. He only pitched 4 innings this past season. So I kind of think his role is either going to be DH or like first base or something. Remember, like Tennessee, they're losing Andrew Fisher, so they got an opening at first base. Could he fill that? We'll wait and see. But Tennessee is interesting to me. And according to 64 Analytics, they got the number 4 class. And it's just because they brought in so many different options, pitching-wise and position player-wise. So they are one to watch for sure.
Yes, some arms are interesting. Clay Edmondson, righty from Asheville. You've got the note he's a side armor, had a 2.20 ERA in 82 innings. I mean, that just screams. Tony Vitello has made a living off that Nate Snead-type pitcher, the rubber-armed reliever who you can go for long stints and then bring him back later in the weekend. Between here, you mentioned Brady Frederick. Between him and Edmondson, those are 2 guys they're going to cover a lot of 78 relief innings. That's almost unheard of. And you mentioned the hitters. They, again, landed Bo Rudy earlier, and then we touched on earlier Landon Mack, who last year at Rutgers, 80 in the 3rd innings, 81 hits, 70 strikeouts, and one of the top arms in the portal, according to 64 Analytics. I think they are waiting, as Sam said, to get a couple of guys through the draft, a couple of big guys, Cruz Schoolcraft, and I think Cam Appenzeller is his name. Those are 2 big-time draft prospects. I mean, a lot of SEC schools are in that boat, seeing if they can get some dudes through the draft. But I think it'll be very interesting to see how Tennessee's roster finishes out between getting those guys through the draft or not getting through the draft and what happens with Henry Ford.
Yeah, that's a big one for sure. And for Mac, by the way, I think what's important to note for him, he did that as a true freshman. I know the Big Ten, they're not by far the best conference by any means, but to do what he did at a Power Four conference in the Big Ten, it is impressive. To me, I think the most fascinating one, the one I want to watch the most is Clay, not Clay Edmondson, but Mason Estrada. He's an MIT transfer.
Oh, yeah.
I had no idea MIT played baseball. So it's Division III baseball. He had 66 strikeouts in 41 innings, only walked 23. I'm fascinated to see how that translates to the SEC level. So he's going to a place, he's going to get developed, facilities, all that stuff. So I'll be fascinated to see what the offseason does for him as he gears up for SEC play.
Yeah, I was combing through BA's list of 500 best prospects for the draft about a month ago, and that popped up. I was like, MIT, I didn't even know MIT played baseball. And that was long before he transferred to Tennessee, but he was considered he was inside their top 500. So, it's probably a around 10 kind of pick, maybe 12, 13, depending on the organization and the sign. But he is considered a pro prospect, and at a place like MIT, if you're going to get noticed at D3, you're going to have showed something somewhere.
Yeah. Congrats to him. Like, you get a degree from MIT and then you graduate, then you get to go play in the SEC at a big time program like Tennessee. So congrats to him.
Yeah. Feels like you've won life at that point, maybe.
Yeah, exactly.